In this video, we're going to calculate the present value of a bond. Bonds are relatively simple instruments, but when you throw in all these environmental complexities, interest rate and risk, they can become pretty complicated. With this example, we're just going to look at some basic fundamentals on how to value a bond. And when we say present value, I mean today. So you got a bond, you're looking to either buy it yourself or determine a good valuation for it. How is this done? Think of a bond. Okay, so when you think of how do we value something, in the world of finance, it's pretty easy, luckily, is that we have money. There's a stream of income that comes in from a bond, typically, and you just need to value those streams of income based on the time value of money, which is expressed in our case as an interest rate, and that also incorporates risk. How risky is the bond? Think about a bond issued by the United States government, which is considered, for all practical purposes, the least risky of all bonds, because what is the chance that the U.S. government could default versus some brand new tech company that could default in a matter of a few months. So that has some risk involved there. And again, that's expressed as an interest rate, along with the concepts of time value of money. So, all right, now with a bond, you typically have a couple of ways you get paid. Well, and the first thing is you have something called a it might be called a par value or face value. We'll just call it par because I think the book likes to use par value. And typically for a bond is $1,000. So we will use green because green's a good color for money. $1,000. Okay, so what does par value mean? That is how much the organization that issues the bond, let's say it's, ABC Hospital System, they are going to say to you, the buyer of the bond, give me $1,000 and I will give you your $1,000 back at the end when the bond matures. And they decide, the issuer of the bond decides the maturity date, maybe 10 years, 15, 20 years. It's up to them. They can decide when it matures. Let's just say in this example, it's a 15-year maturity rate. So in 15 years, they're going to pay you your $1,000 back. You give them $1,000 now. 15 years later, they give you $1,000 back. Doesn't sound like a very good deal, does it? Well, there's nothing in it for you. Your money doesn't grow. Here's the exchange. The exchange is they're going to have something called a coupon rate. I'll just say CR for short, coupon rate. And that's going to be a percentage of this face value that they are going to give you every year. So let's say, for example, this bond has a coupon rate of, I don't know, pick 10%. So if they say, we're going to give you 10% every year, we're going to pay you 10% every year until it matures. And I think we said, what, 15 years? How much is 10% of $1,000? $100. So you're going to get a stream of $100 every year for your bond investment. That's actually a pretty, in today's environment, that's a pretty good deal. You can live off of that stream of income, and then you get your $1,000 back at the end of the 15th year. So to calculate, again, the coupon rate, or that's the coupon rate, to calculate the coupon payment, pretty simple. So coupon payment, oops, I'll erase that. If I can use my eraser correctly. There we go. So coupon payment is simply what is 10% of $1,000? And in this case, that's $100. And again, the coupon rate is really based off of whatever the company has to set it at based on risk and the time value of money. But in this case, it is $100 going to be paid to you. And pretty easy calculation. Again, just the 10% of the $1,000 determines what your coupon rate is. This also might be referred to as simply payment. So you might hear just PMT, or the book refers to it as PMT or payment. Now, I've been talking to you about a maturity of 15 years, but what happens if the bond has been issued and it's been floating around out there, and somebody is done with it, they want to sell it before the maturity date? And let's say 3 years have gone by. They've collected a little bit of money, $100 each year off of that, but they want to sell it, and it still has 12 years to go. And this happens all the time. People very rarely hold on to their bonds all the way to maturity date. They often will sell them sometime over the course of that period. But let's say you've got 12 more years to go on the bond. That is your number of payments, or the number of periods left is 12, because it's been 15-year bond. It's been owned for 3 by somebody. They decide to sell it, and there's 12 left. So the book often refers to this as N. It's really number of payments or number of periods. And in this case, we'll use, I don't know, we'll say 12. So there's 12 more annual payments due to you. So here's, in summary, what we're going to get. We're going to get $1,000 at the end of 12 years. We also are going to get paid $100 for the next 12 years, annual payments. And again, we get that lump sum of $1,000 back at the end of the year, at the end of the maturity. Some other person has owned this bond for 3 years, and they've decided to sell it to us, and we are determining what that present value is for that bond. We're going to throw in one kicker: interest rates. Okay, often referred to as just I. Okay, interest rates have changed. They have gone down to 5%. Here's something that's really hard to get to wrap around your head. At least it was for me. When I studied finance, I don't know, umpteen years ago, was this bond was issued. It's like a contract. It doesn't change. So the terms of that bond are irrelevant to what's happening out into the environment. And remember what the terms are. The terms are, you're going to get paid $1,000 at the end of maturity. You're going to get paid a coupon rate right here, 10%, unless the company goes bankrupt. Heck or high water, you're going to get your $100 payment every year. And in this case, we have 12 more years left before the bond reaches maturity, or however you want to think about it, expires, until the agreement is over. But interest rates have gone down. So for bonds that are of, let's say, identical risk, the interest rates, which they have gone down right now, they're at historical lows. We'll probably never see this interest rates as low as they have been for the past few years in our lifetime. But let's say the interest rates now are 5%. How does this affect the price of a bond? It should affect the price of the bond. And that's where you hear the term a discount. You know, this bond is going to be sold at a discount, or you may hear the word at a premium. And that basically means when the coupon rate and the interest rate that's in the environment are different. In this case, the bond is going to be, it has a very, people would love to get that 10% yield because that coupon rate, Because right now, if they go out and buy a new bond, all they can get is 5. So they're really going to want this bond. But what's going to happen is the market will adjust the present value of that bond. It will discount that bond down to a rate that's equal for investments of similar risk. And if the market works in general, if it works perfect, which it sometimes doesn't, but if it works perfect, investments of similar risk have similar returns. When they don't, that's something called arbitrage, and people try to make money off of that difference. But in the theoretical world, things of similar risk have similar return. So this bond has to be discounted in order to have a similar return to bonds that are currently being issued at 5%. Okay, so how do we do that? All right, let's go to another slide and we'll show you how to do those calculations. All right, now what I'm going to use here is a web-based financial calculator. And I think it's pretty nice, it's pretty simple, and it will work good for this, this particular problem and a lot of these present value, future value problems. So, and I'll put a link to this right below this particular lecture so you can find this financial calculator. You can do this on any financial calculator, but we'll use this web-based one because I know all of you can access it. I haven't had any problems in using it, so hopefully it works out pretty smooth for you as well. Okay, so to summarize some of our basic information, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm going to bring up this website. There we go. All right. So we have a par value of $1,000. We have a coupon rate of 10%. We had, let's see, the coupon payments. Again, we're just simply what is the rate times the par value. Let me put a dollar sign there. We have the coupon payment is $100. Sorry, my handwriting is pretty bad here. And, oh, we said there were only 12 more years to go before this bond reached its maturity. And the current interest rate for bonds of similar risk was only 5%. So rates, it's a decreasing rate environment. Let's plug it into this web-based calculator and see what we get. All right, let me kind of blow this up a little bit and see if this works. Okay, so we want to calculate the, let's see here, see if this works. We want to calculate this guy right here. We want to get present value. So that's going to, we're going to fill in all the other ones and then click compute and see what we get. All right. So future value we know right there, $1,000, okay? So we're going to calculate our future value. Whoops, see if this works here. And unfortunately, there we go. All right. Don't know what I did there, but okay. Let's go here. Okay, so our future value is going to be 1,000. When we're looking at payment flows, we put in a negative. So don't let that throw you. Just whenever there's money, think of it this way. When there's money being paid out from the organization, it is a negative. If you're thinking if you're receiving that $1,000, just write it as a negative. Kind of complicated, but this is the way that it works. Always put a negative in there. Number of payments, okay, that we know. And remember, we have, again, just kind of erasing what the defaults are in here. Number of payments we said was, here we go. We had 12 payments left, 12 years. So 12. Sorry, a little difficult to do on an iPad while using my recording software, so bear with me here. Payment amount, we already know that payment amount. That was $50 that we get paid every year. I'll leave the little negative in there. Let me just make sure I erase those zeros. I don't want that to cause a problem up there. Okay. And then our interest rate has changed. It's now 5%, not the coupon rate. We just want the interest rate. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let me see. See if I can line that back up to the way we were. Okay, so we have our, shrink this down a little bit more. Sorry. There we go. All right, sorry guys. Okay. There. All right. We had our par value of 1,000, which goes up into the future value. Remember, writing as a negative. Number of payments, 12. Okay, so I got that. Check. Payment amount is, oh, I messed that up. That I got it correct. Because remember, it was 100. So let's open this back up again. Always check your math. Okay. All right, 100. And let me bring up our numbers here and get my eraser out and clean this up a little bit. No, that's not working. Okay, so we'll leave that as is. All right, so we got our payments of 12, our payment amount, which is 100, our period, which is number of periods left is 12, and the new interest rate right now is 5%. Okay. Looks good. And let's see here. Hit compute. And we get, see if we can blow this up here. We'll get switch that off to the side. There we go. We get a present value of $1,443.16. So you are going to pay that much for the bond. That would be a fair price with the new interest rate that's gone to 5%, assuming you are still going to get the $100. That's not going to change. $100 every year for 12 years, and then you get that $1,000 back at the end of the maturity date. If you were to discount all those cash flows back down to today, this would be a fair price for this bond, is right here. So that is how you calculate the present value for a bond.